What is good? Osiris here, stuck in the middle. What happened to the red wave? What happened to the red tsunami?
Democrats outperformed expectations and Republicans did not see the red wave they predicted.
I take full responsibility for falling into the hype and being in a bad place. It's never good to be arrogant, which I believe I was, and ignorant.
Ever met someone who is so extremely dumb that they don't know how stupid they actually are?
Here is why I think what happened last night went down. And it's not over. We could still see some good victories. But going to MIdterm, it's on the blog. Go to MIdterm. At the top, there's our blog. And the most recent blog is why the red wave didn't come. It wasn't Gen Zers. It wasn't because the Dems had some great strategy with these cringe-ass TikToks.
Funny. Yes, but not funny, haha. Funny weird.
I'm looking for a yellow bone, long hair star.
Messy, moody, nasty, yeah. Hacking, stupid.
Thick in the hips, come get in my car.
Monday night, and here's what's happened.
B, what are you doing under my desk?
Well, under the desk is kind of my thing. I mean,
But here's the thing. You can stay for now, but when it comes time to voting, you're going to have to get up because you've got climate change legislation on the ballot, you've got gun safety, and if we can elect more pro-choice members of Congress, we can reinstitute Roe versus Wade as the law of the land. So you can't stay here. You're going to have to take a little bit of time to vote.
Stop scrolling! Stop! In the name of love. In the name of voting. Go make a plan to vote right now.
Thick in the hips, come get in my car.
Vote Senator Mac.
Thank you so
asked
much for your
Madam Vice
time.
President her
Lastly, on
coffee
a
order,
lighthearted
and
note,
this
can you
is
tell
what
us your
happened.
coffee order?
Oh, yes. Soy latte.
A soy latte. Okay.
I could have my Gucci. I made you look.
Oh, hey, Chris.
Hey. Hi. I brought you both coffee.
Have you voted?
Yes.
Did you get all your friends to go to iwillvote.com
Of
so they know
course.
how and where and when to vote?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Of course
good.
I did. Here you guys go. Cheers.
Cheers.
Gen Z didn't turn out for Bernie. That wasn't it. It wasn't about unliving fetuses. And I know the Republicans' take on that topic is cringe, but that's not the reason why there wasn't a red wave. People aren't worried about that. The exit polls didn't confirm that, didn't show that. I don't believe that's a top priority for many people in the country, not enough to prevent a red wave. It also isn't that people hate MAGA. Now, there is some concerns with MAGA, and they need to humanize the movement, but this is what I see happening. Here's what happened. Remember, we talked about Democrats and these super PACs helping the populist right in primaries. They wanted to help them win the primary because they thought they would be easier to defeat. But it was more than that. But that is what happened. I think that is the story of the midterms. These candidates got no support from the establishment GOP. None to very little. They gave them maybe a little bit of support just to be like, well, we did help you out, but not enough to even compete. Democrats flooded money to their candidates after the America First. Most of them were deniers of the last process that got pushed up through the primary, and the Dems flooded money against them and for their opponent. Now, in the aftermath, what they can do is lie about it and hide about it like it's not about the money. When is anything not about the money? They lie, especially in politics. They lie and say, well, they kind of cover up and don't say it's about the money. They talk about it, but they don't say it's about the money. They say it's an indictment on who? Don Dada. It's his fault. It's going to the denial fault. Even Tim Pool's falling victim to this, in my opinion, and ignoring. This is a bigger picture. This is the issue. It's not denying anything. It's them getting wrecked in spending, set up, in my opinion. It's basically the Pelosi wrap-up smear, scaled up.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this, so they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic. And it's self-evident. But I think I'm worth the trouble, quite frankly. I love the fray. I'm not, I'm not disrespectful of people's views. I respect any positive things that people want to say, or even negative, as long as it's constructive.
The media is involved with this too, allegedly. You remember Nancy plays that inside political game so much. She's like, ooh, let me just, you guys know what the wrap-up smear is, right? Yeah, the wrap-up smear. And most normal people are like, the wrap-up smear? We don't practice games like this, Nancy. We don't do evil things like you do, allegedly. So no, we don't know what the wrap-up smear is. Tell us. And she went mask off and did it.
You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear.
Here's a list of headlines. I just did a quick, I think this is DuckDuckGo search, but it says Democrats spend $53 million to boost far-right GOP. Democrats spend tens of millions amplifying far-right candidates. They spent this money. And here's the press amplifying bullish, talking about Trump. There's a lot we don't know about the midterm election, but one outcome is clear, is that they have to go after Trump. That's the clear outcome. Let's look at some specifics. John Gibbs in Michigan 3. The DCCC spent $500K supporting him in the primary. He won the primary. He got no support from the GOP and was outspent by his opponent by about $3.5 million. In a race like this in Michigan 3rd District, that's a heck of a lot of money. I have the receipts here. This is the article I took it from. Democrat Congressional Campaign Committee spent nearly $500,000. She beat him, and here's the receipts. What I did to count this, I counted the money that they spent. So John Gibbs spent a portion of money, and then also how much money was spent against him. Then I net that out. He was outspent by about $3.5 million. MAGA got set up. Good, hey, peep game. Give them credit. I'm going to eat crow, but I'm going to learn from this. Everybody's got to learn from this. No one said it was going to be easy for MAGA to infiltrate the GOP. Why would the GOP help MAGA infiltrate themselves? I should have known that before the red tsunami, but why would they do that? That makes no sense. Yeah, they're going to go against the MAGA candidates. So they're okay with a little bit of red coming through as long as it's not a whole full-blown red that they can't control. They want Mitch McConnell, they want Kevin McCarthy to stay in power. They must get politically destroyed for this. This was done against candidates who questioned things in the past, along with the Dem establishment. At Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz, they know this better than I do, but they have a lot on their shoulders right now. There's not much MAGA in DC, and it's on them to spread the word, figure out how to make the right chess moves, fire whoever needs to get fired to make sure that the money flows the way it should for 2024. Another example, Don Bolduc. I'm not the hugest fan of him, but this did happen. He lost to Maggie Hassan, who was a terrible candidate. Maggie Hassan was like a Katie Hobbs type, like even weirder. And she won. That's craziness. But look, Senator Schumer's PAC, Chuck Schumer, one of the most savvy politicians out there. His PAC spent $3.2 million for Don Bolduc in the primary. Bolduc barely won. I did a live on that after he won. Bolduc got no GOP support, was outspent by, wait for it, Don Bolduc was outspent by, wait for it, when you look at the ads for, against, and the money they spent, $34 million he was outspent by. So don't come to me talking about it was about fetuses or this or that. When that money ain't right, we don't need to drill down below that. Now, you can always, not all of these worked. You can overcome it. It is possible, but let's be real. Let's stop playing games. Here are the receipts to show Chuck Schumer's PAC was involved. He lost, and I scribbled on that to make sure I didn't forget. This is part of the wrap-up smear. I'm glad I put that there so I didn't forget to stop on this. So they said, Don Dada blames Bolduc for the New Hampshire loss because he was doing some type of claiming about stuff in the past. So what happens is they blame, they know the money was the factor, but then they can blame and say, look at these populist candidates. Nobody likes them. It's Trump's fault. So they smear Trump. Now Trump has to defend himself. So now he has to go after Bolduc. So not only did they spend the money to get the person in, make sure the GOP didn't spend to help these candidates, now they can go after Trump on this. Somebody said, seems to me that the moral of the story is that there should be better candidates chosen. Don't talk to me about the quality of the candidates when somebody's outspent by $34 million. You're not overcoming that. Last example, Bob Burns lost to Ann Kuster. Democrats serve this PAC Political Action Committee spent $90K to help Burns in the primary. This isn't one where you're spending millions. This was a lot in this small little primary to help Bob Burns win. So the $90K was a significant amount to help him win. And how much did Burns get outspent by after he won in the primary? No GOP help. He got outspent by $5 million. In that small district, New Hampshire's second district, that's a lot of money. You can't overcome that. So you see, this was all over the place. You go to gubernatorial candidate, you can find example after example of this happening. Basically, pick anyone who won their GOP primary that was a denier of something in the past, and this happened to them. I'm going to end with this. It always starts and ends with the money. If you want a revolution to happen in this country, if you want MAGA to succeed, then we've got to fund MAGA, and we've got to take our money and decide where we put it. Are we going to put it with corporations that hate us? Are you going to put your money? People clown me all the time where I'm a super follower of Cassandra McDonald or Tim Pool or Nico House. No, I'm supporting independent people. And whenever I can, I do a super chat to Jen Perlman and Peter Hager. I support these independent creators and try to take money away from these companies that hate me, because the money is the power. If you don't get the money right, you're not going to get the process right. If you look back, Jen Psaki had a tweet and talked about how big the House. It was like 50 seats flipped in Clinton's midterm, and in Obama's midterm in 2010, it was like 60 seats flipped. The reason why they're not letting those, they don't want that same thing should have happened this midterm, or worse, considering everything in our country right now. They had a plan. Don't underestimate these people. Don't think they're stupid. They're not stupid people. They're very smart. They might be evil in their actions, but they know what they're doing. And what you saw there, it's not a full disappointing night. I'm going to go back. I'm going to try to go live again tonight to cover a little bit of the Kari Lake stuff. So there could be some good stories with Kari Lake, Blake Masters. We'll see if Mark Fincham wins, so Arizona can solidify their process of choosing a politician. But when you look at it, it was a rough night. The battle's not over. Let me know what you think.